Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about hair loss and some of the causes for it. And it might surprise you of what could be causing challenges in your life or maybe somebody you know. And we're going to call upon an expert for that. She is a hair solution specialist with Power Beauty Unlimited, located in Albany, New York. Helps people all the time with their hair challenges and also those who need hair pieces, wigs, and all of that. Great to have her back here. Valrie Alexander is here. How's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me again, Steve.
Thanks for being here. You've enlightened us so much in terms of what is available for those with challenges involving their hair, but just learn so much. Today, nutrition. We're going to start there. As it looks with your hair. I've often heard that there is a connection. Tell us more.
Yeah. So there could be, when you're dealing with nutrition, a lot of us don't know that we could be deficient in some nutritional values within our bodies. And a common cause of hair loss comes from, lack of the proteins, vitamins, and nutrients that we need. Especially, and I want to touch on vegans, because I recently, over the last year, became a pescatarian. So I stopped eating, red meats and things like that. And I only eat fish, vegetables, rices, and, beans. But if you are a vegan, there may be some chance that you will experience some hair loss due to, the protein that we need from animal meat. So when we're not getting that, that could be a deficiency that we have with protein. Also, we have vitamin B12. And it's important because it helps the cell production in our bodies and also, on our scalps to regenerate. A big one is vitamin D deficiency, and someone wouldn't not necessarily have any symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. So we always recommend that our clients get blood panels from either the dermatologist or either their primary care doctor just to see what those levels are at. Because vitamin D, we need that. We get it from the sun. And, we need that for our cells and things like that, synthesis and things like that.
Can I share with you? Last summer, just had routine, lab tests, and they identified I was so low in vitamin D, like the lowest they've ever seen. So gave me a prescription for that. And I've labs coming up in a couple of weeks just to, double check. But as I learned it, to your point, that vitamin D also helps us metabolize other vitamins and minerals. It's not just vitamin D. And I was experiencing, and that's not why I went for the labs, but when I traced it back, I was kind of like brain foggy, just like, feel weird. Let's just off. Something's like weird. And once I took the prescription of vitamin D, which was like 50,000 units a week, just one shot. I don't mean a shot. I mean, just take one pill once a week, and that changed it. I felt so much better. So to your point, you might not even know that you're lacking something. And I had no idea that could inhibit hair growth or, holding on to your hair. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And, iron is a big one, especially with women who are kind of dealing with heavy menstrual cycles. And also those vegans, that iron is, we need that iron in order to, keep our body in alignment.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Wow. I actually wrote these down for a friend. I don't know if you
Good.
I'm not even kidding. And they actually said that they're low on iron. So, and they're having some hair issues. So it's amazing how this all comes into play.
Yeah, even eating, finding foods that are high in iron, vitamin C, zinc, those are great ways to start to kind of fill in those gaps with your deficiencies. As well, we do, there are supplements out there that can, help us with those deficiencies as well.
Sure.
And as a trichologist, we do recommend some supplements for our clients who are deficient in certain areas.
What is a trichologist?
So a trichologist is a individual who specializes in scalp and hair health. So we can pretty much go in and we don't diagnose, but we can go, from the scalp perspective, we use a triscope, and that will be magnified by 50 to 100 times. And
Wow.
we can see the scalp and the hair follicles. If you have any buildup on the hair follicles that's prohibiting your hair from coming up, we can see if you may have psoriasis. You probably already know you have psoriasis, but we can look at it further to determine how what the appropriate treatment is for that.
Wow. I had no idea that was in your wheelhouse. Even even the approach of how you look at the hair very closely. Tell me more.
Yeah. So, my focus is scalp and hair health. So when dealing with clients, especially clients who lighten their hair more often than they're supposed to, that could affect, your scalp as well, even though you're only lightening the hair. When you're
Wow.
dealing with the hair, all those chemicals are seeping down into the hair follicle, into the scalp, and that could affect it. And a lot of women that I've noticed, Black women, from using chemicals, from using a high temp heat, they develop a alopecia condition called CCCA, if I can remember, central trifugal something alopecia. But it's a big word, and it affects those women where they lose their hair. And it's also a fungal infection.
Wow.
That they develop. And if it's not treated early, it can be, long lasting, and you won't grow that hair because now your scalp has been damaged and those hair follicles can't grow through that damaged skin on the scalp.
So everybody's different, but based on your experience, let's say it's identified that somebody is deficient in iron, could be vitamin D, things we talked, protein. They're just not eating well. And now they figured it out, maybe with your help. They changed their diet, taking supplements. How long do you think it would take before their hair is back on track? Maybe they're not losing as much anymore. What do you think? Again, everybody is different, but basic.
But generally, individuals, who are actively doing treatment will see results in about maybe 2 weeks, but I give it 4 to 6 weeks to actually see some results. You may see some, you're not thinning that much anymore. When you're brushing, you may not see that many hairs. So it's all about the patient and how they're doing their maintenance at home. Because I can do what I do at the clinic, but when you go home, you still have to maintain that treatment at home so we can have a good result.
It's amazing how, and we've always knew that we need to take care of ourselves, proper nutrition, sleep, and all of this. But it's amazing how it just spreads out to all different things, including your hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. You talked about trichologists. Am I saying that right?
Correct.
What can we expect when we go see one? Any other things? I mean, you talked about looking at the hair very closely, maybe under some kind of device like a microscope, but what else to be expected?
So what's to be expected when you come in for a consultation with me is, first we're going to do an intake form, and that intake form is usually sent before you come in. So I'm going to look at your medical history, and things like that. After we go through that consultation process where we find out more about your background of your family. Maybe you have some male pattern baldness, in the family. It doesn't have to be directly your father. It could have been your grandfather or your great grandfather or your mother, who had male pattern baldness. So we kind of talk about the genetic factors, and during that process, we try to rule out a lot of things so we can determine how we can treat that specific client, because every treatment is, kind of tailored to them. After we do that, we do a tri-scope. Like I said, we go in, we look at the scalp, we look at the hair. And sometimes I will do a scalp treatment, and that just involves some manipulation of the scalp. That involves some herbs, that involves some natural things that we could use on the scalp to stimulate those hair follicles or even clean the scalp. If that's a recommendation I make, that's what I do. And it's called a Japanese hair massage treatment. So there's specific techniques that I use to go in and try to stimulate those hair follicles so that patient can have a good outcome. After that, we talk about options. Some people may come in and they have hair still. They're just concerned about thinning areas of the hair. So I would recommend a treatment which may include the low light laser treatment. And you would sit under that for 30 minutes. We would go in, we would cleanse the scalp, we would put those topical treatments on. And then we would, if that person doesn't have hair, let me back up. That person doesn't have hair, or the hair is not going to grow back, then we would recommend a solution. And that solution may be a prosthetic solution.
So, question. Shampoo. There's so many different ones out there. You always wonder, can I buy the cheaper one, if you will? Are they all basically the same, or you really got to be careful?
You have to be careful because there may be some chemicals, a lot of things that we eat and that we put on our skin and our body. There's chemicals in there we can't pronounce and that are hazardous to us. So when you're thinking about shampoos, we want to think about no sulfates, no parabens, and kind of a clean shampoo, a natural shampoo. Because there are a lot of shampoos out there. Over the last couple of years, there's been news that some of these companies are causing people to lose their hair because of those chemicals that they put in it.
Would it be just as effective to use, let's say you have regular soap? What is shampoo doing? Releasing the oils, releasing, dirt and debris and things like that. Wouldn't soap just kind of do the same thing?
Once again, soap has some chemicals in it that may not be good for your hair, may not be good for your body. A lot of people experience allergic reactions when they use it on certain parts of their body. So you want to be careful, and you want to look at the ingredients in those soaps. Wow. And research how they could affect your skin and your hair.
What about products in general? Now, we're talking about shampoo, but when we talk about different types of gels and different pastes and things like that, same kind of situation?
Same situation.
Wow.
A lot of gels and products that we use on our hair could have like alcohol in it. Alcohol is no good.
Wow.
It actually dries your hair out and could cause some of that hair loss that people are seeing. So yeah, those hairsprays and gels.
They all have alcohol because it goes on wet. So it's got to evaporate and dry.
Yep.
How does that happen?
Yep.
Alcohol.
Yep, exactly.
Oof. Wow. And I mean, we can get into our food chain and what pesticides and all that stuff in there as well. When we talk about our nutrition, or maybe even just lifestyles in general, to prevent hair loss or further hair loss, anything else that we didn't hit up?
I would say, general practices when you're doing, manipulating your hair or styling your hair could be a contributing factor to the hair loss. Those ponytails, they're putting tension on your hairline, and you may start to experience some pulling on that hairline. With Black women, we have, it's been known to kind of affect us in a way because we want to wear these hairstyles, these braids. We want to kind of put our hair up in these tight styles, and that affects the hair. Using those products on the hair could also affect it. So you have to think about your hair care practices. Environment could be a cause. And when I say environment, I'm talking about your general environment where you're living. Stress is a contributing factor.
Huge.
To hair loss. And a lot of people don't realize that. And when clients come in and we go through that consultation process and I'm asking questions, or are you under pressure at work? Because they may, be dealing with a project in the last couple of months that has affected their stress levels, and that could be a contribution to their hair loss.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but stress is probably up there right next to nutrition.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. A lot of people, everyone deals with stress in some point of their life. So we are scalp and hair health.
Absolutely. What's the first step? Take the labs, modifying your lifestyle, or talking with somebody like you to identify, what's going on.
So the first step that I would recommend is reaching out to a dermatologist. A dermatologist is going to be able to diagnose what's going on. And I'm not saying that they're always right, but most times they are. And it could be misconstrued as something else that could be contributing to the hair loss. So after you see the dermatologist, I would always recommend them just asking, can we do panels? Just to make sure that I can, holistically, if that's the route you want to go, besides using medications, go holistically and figure something out where I can get, that hair stimulated again. And once you do that, you can reach out to a trichologist. And a trichologist is the one who's going to treat you holistically. We don't use any medications or anything like that. We always think about natural remedies when it comes to helping people dealing with hair loss.
It's going to sound crazy, but I love looking at old pictures. And just, when photography was around, mid 1800s, 1850, it just started, 60 around that time. I think maybe I'm reincarnated from that time because I just love that period. It was a simpler way of life. When you look at those photos, people don't have hair issues.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
What it says to me is that less pollutants, less insecticides, less garbage out there, less stress, and all of that. I think it speaks volumes. And let's face it, back then, not a lot of people, I think, wore wigs. It was just like, if you don't, have hair loss, that's the way it is. And if you do have one, you're going to know, in the photos, you're going to know. So I don't know. I think there's something there.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the evolution of the world and how we perceive things and what we make a priority when we're talking about the world in general, especially pollutants, especially, the environment, stress levels, and how we're helping our communities deal with these types of things. Nutrition. I know probably back in those days, they were growing their own food, perhaps. Right. So it, eliminates pesticides and things like that. And we get the nutritional values that we need.
That's where I'm going with that. Yeah, 100%. Yep. And we don't even know what's in our food supply. I don't want to know because it would be... Listen, it is what it is, unless, organic. And then, you wonder how safe that is. Valrie, what's the best way? You're in Albany. Obviously, your work is done there. You can't do it virtually. But if somebody has questions as well, no matter where they are on the planet, all of the above, how do they find you?
First, you can reach out to me, support@powerbeautyunlimited.com if you have any questions. My website is powerbeautyunlimited.com, and that's where you can schedule that consultation. As I stated before, I do travel. So if you would need me to go somewhere, I can kind of help you out with that. And then I'm on social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Power Beauty Unlimited. That's me.
.com, right? Oh, wait,
Nope.
on social, that's your
social
handle.
media. Yeah.
Got it. PowerBeautyUnlimited.com is the website. Thank you for being a resource for something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, don't want to face it, but it's a way of life, and we got to deal with it. And I learned something new. Trichologists, I had no idea that is part of what you do. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated.
No problem. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.